Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff, and I got Chad with me again. And we just finished up another amazing mastery chat. Wow, it was on fire. We are
Yeah.
still trending right now. We've been trending pretty much the entire chat. We are in the top 10. We bounced into number 8, number 9, bouncing around there. And we are still trending now because everybody's over there still having a conversation about PD and professional
We
development.
are. Maybe we should wait,
So
like as we finish their awesome Twitter
yeah,
chat.
well, hopefully they're gonna come over and maybe we'll get some awesomeness here. So if you were just in the chat, now
Yeah.
you're here. Do me a favor, comment what your favorite thing in the chat was. What was your favorite
Yeah.
answer? What was the favorite question that you like saw answers to, or the engagement that started after? Like, share with us. I see a couple people popping on. So there's Mark. It was because of
All
me.
right.
Yeah.
Mark.
Typically, our chats are more awesome when Mark's there.
I
So I
think
mean, I
I
don't
think
disagree
he
with
was
that.
actually what made us trend. I think someone
Yeah,
was like, "Holy crap, Mark Levine is there."
like
Everyone.
the god of trending was like, okay, tonight they get it, like because Mark was there. So we appreciate that, Mark. Appreciate you.
He's actually part of the Twitter algorithm. You didn't know that? Like
Yes.
once once Mark joins a chat, like it automatically.
There's like a little there's a it gets like an
It's
extra
like a special line of
bonus.
code they put into it.
It's a 10x bonus or something. So anyway, great chat. Really
It
cool
was.
topic that went really, really well. So we're gonna give kudos, shout out to Ray Hewitt for saying, hey, why don't we do it on PD? Went really, really well. Great questions. I know we came up with them, but still, I thought it went over well. It was really cool to see so many different opinions. There was a lot of big variety of opinions. I did a horrible, horrible job at screenshotting. I didn't do any. Right off the bat, I got in a couple like really cool like side conversations with people. And
Yeah.
it just took me, and I just forgot to take screenshots and stuff. But
It's okay. I took mental screenshots, so we can talk about those.
so I was gonna make a comment about not being able to take many because there's only like a gigabyte of space up there. But I decided not to go that way. Even though I just said it. So no, it was really cool. It was a great chat. Like I said, really cool. Well, it was neat. We had quite a few administrators in there too, which was really
We
neat to
did.
see. Several principals, couple superintendents that were, I think them probably getting a ton out of this chat. A couple of them actually said so, but them having conversations with teachers that weren't even their teachers, but
Yeah.
the viewpoint from that
So,
in the
so
type thing.
I think that's a cool point too, and I think that's something that gets overlooked a lot, especially in regards to PD. Right? I think a lot of teachers, when they go to PD, think or can have the perception potentially that their administrators don't have what's best for them at mind, or they don't know. But I can tell you from being on the other side of the conversation, literally the person planning the PD with the administrator, that one of the most common concerns, questions, and things that administrators ask us are like, I want my teachers to get a lot out of this. I want my teachers to feel good about this. And we work directly with administrators all the time on making it easier for their teachers, because whether teachers realize it or not, administrators understand your pain. A lot of them, 99.9%, if not 100% of them, have been there. And they do understand your pain. They get it. They want this PD and they want it to be valuable. But sometimes I think there's a difference between the scale that they're looking at. So a teacher seeing their classroom, their students, where a principal or a higher up administrator who we're normally dealing with is thinking at a larger scale about the whole building, the good, the mission of the school, or the direction they want to go in from a larger scale. So I think it's really cool, and I think it says a lot that we had that administrator participation, because they truly do care what their teachers think. They want them to be successful. They want what's best for them. And like I said, like when we're talking about delivering our PD to teachers, schools, and districts, whatever level that administrator is at, one of the most common questions we get is, what does your PD look like? And how are you going to engage my teachers? How is this going to look for my teachers? And what are they going to be able to take back and use in their classrooms?
And how does this connect with what we're already doing?
Yeah, and that's right. Like that was another... And that's another huge thing. Like, hey, I've made my teachers do all of this work, or we've been doing this work. I'm not going to abandon that, right? How can we, support that?
And Marissa brings up, I think, probably the most common thing that I saw from answers tonight is that so often they feel like the PD was set up simply to check that box, as Marissa says.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of a couple conversations, like good ideas on, and it all comes back to the same thing: is talking with teachers, collaborating with them, communicating with them, bringing them into the conversation of the planning process and the facilitation process of that PD, which I think sometimes, unfortunately, is easier said than done for schools. But I also think a lot of schools aren't quite there yet, where they're realizing that is key. We talk about differentiating and working with students to give them what they need when they need it and the way in which they need it. It's the same thing with when the PD and when you're choosing what to bring in and what style to bring in is that communication with your team. And we talk. I can't remember his name. We was going back and forth, and like he pushed that on, and they're taking little baby steps. So it sounds like there's a lot of people they're getting there, but I think so many districts unfortunately just aren't there yet, aren't taking those steps. That was a really common theme across answers tonight, for sure.
There's also logistical issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it's budget or ability to bring multiple people in, right? So to give teachers option means you have to have more people presenting, which means you have to either bring more people in if you don't have people in-house that can do those topics and things like that. So sometimes it's not a choice to give limited options. It's more of like a logistical, how can I meet the needs of the most teachers possible, or how can we build on the direction that we're already going in the most efficient way possible? But I absolutely understand Marissa's point in terms of added burden, because if you're a teacher that's not getting a lot out of that PD, it is going to be an added burden. Yeah. But you can also be sitting next to a teacher that's getting a ton out of that PD. Like, it really comes down to what am I getting out of this PD, and how can I apply it to my classroom? If the answer is I'm not getting a lot out of this because I can't apply it to my classroom, that's not going to be a good experience for you, no matter what that PD is about, or no matter how that PD is presented. So I think that's really important, and I think that's a great point that Marissa made as well. And we have to avoid things like a box to check off, right? That's why when we do our in-depth, full day, 2-day PDs, we usually make it voluntary for districts. Like we say, let's see which teachers want this, because if they're not brought in, they're not going to apply it. And that could be universally applied to any topic a PD is on, right? If I'm a teacher and I'm not ready for standards-based grading, but I have to go to a 3-hour session on standards-based grading, I'm not going to get a lot out of it because I'm not there yet. And it's the same with our students, right? So I totally feel that pain, but I think you also have to take a step back and say there are some logistical reasons this might happen.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So while it's not perfect, maybe there's other things happening that are positive, that maybe a personal experience isn't as good as it could be.
Speaking of perfect, did you pick up on any trends, any common themes amongst answers to the question of either or? There was 2 different questions that kind of touch on this. One was, what's the best PD you've ever had? And then the other one was, what's perfect PD in your mind, in your vision? Was there any themes that you picked up that seemed like everyone was saying?
So a couple of the biggest themes I noticed in that thread were personalization and choice, for sure. Like a lot of teachers wanted to be able to choose what they were doing. Another theme was, I need time to actually process and work, right? I need time to apply this. There were 2 camps, right? One camp was, I don't care how long the PD is, as long as it's relevant to me, I'm engaged, and it's impactful to my classroom. That's kind of camp I fall into. Like, if I can use something, I want to sit there, and as long as it takes to get it right, to make it, to use it, so I can bring it right back to my classroom. Whether that's 1 hour, 30 minutes, or 2 days, it doesn't matter to me, because I want to take that back to my classroom. There was this other camp that was like, nope, give me 25 minutes to 30 minutes, get me what I need and get me out of there as quick as possible, because they just want to get it and be able to go. So I think there's, for that other group that wants the quicker PD, I totally understand it, because we're a consumer society right now. We're used to getting information in really short chunks. But I think a part of that also comes from, once again, time, right? So they want to be able to take the information and then apply it. So I would be interested to see if you put those people that want the 20 to 30-minute PD, if you take those same people and give them more work time in their PD sessions and less direct talk time, if they would value that time, because maybe the reason they want the short PD is so they can take it and go do something with it. Like, just give me the idea so I can go work on it and then do whatever I need to. Whereas I wonder if could they benefit from that facilitated time? They just haven't had a PD like that or gotten the experience of that. So that was kind of something that I was thinking about.
I also wondered a lot during that whether or not those that wanted the shorter, if they would feel the same if it checked all those other boxes in the sense of it was relevant, I had choice, it was meaningful, it was purposeful, I could put it in. Because I think when you're in that type of environment, you're learning that type of thing, you're less likely to care how much time it is because you're gaining that value. And I think, if I'm sending a PD that's just something that's being shoved down my throat, it's not something that I feel like I'm going to put into my classroom. I have no interest in it. I'm not there yet. Like you said, I'm not to standards-based grading yet. I'm not ready for that change. 20 minutes or 3 hours doesn't matter. It's a waste of my time. So I think it all comes back to that. It's got to be relevant. It has to be relevant to what I'm trying to do with my students, what I'm trying to do with my career. And it has to be, like I said, like I love the choice piece. That's not easy for schools to do in so many ways. Because
it's not easy for presenters to do.
There was talks about putting together committees and having choice that way of helping to just guide so that even if you are limited to just one or two options, at least they can be the most relevant as possible. Mark says, I feel too often in longer PD we get it, are excited about it, and forget about it because we didn't process and digest. And I think that's where, like you were talking about that time, we see that all the time. Like we provide, you were talking in the video, the preview about how we have always focused on providing a lot of time for work. In fact, you mentioned our 2-day workshop. I mean, it's like 75%, maybe more time of teachers working and collaborating and brainstorming, us just being there to work with them. And we almost always, one of the replies on our exit slips when we ask them how can we be better is, I'd love to have more time. It's like, because there's never enough time, right? Especially if you're interested in something and you're ready, like you said, I'm ready to go. So if we can give them the time, that's great. And I think that's always going to be a factor because you're always going to want more because you're trying to get it in.
It's funny you said that, though, because it's also the other comment, like the other most positive comment we get is, thank you so much for all the time to
for
work.
All the time.
I wish I had more of it, right? Like, there was never a happy medium amount of time because I think you say this a lot, time's like a closet. You use up all the space you have, but you always want a bigger one.
Well, that was I'm losing it, so I'm going to have to look it up. But that was not me. That was one of our podcast guests, and it's escaping me who it was, but her father actually told her that.
One of the podcasts.
And the original,
which if you haven't, you should go listen to, by the way.
The original piece of advice was actually that money is like closet space. You'll use what you have, and I think it was about money first, but then it flips into time and pretty much anything else. Yeah, you use what you have, and you always wish you had more. That's how it is there. But I wanted to make sure I give credit to you. I can't remember who that was. It might have been Sarah Thomas. I don't know. Either way, go listen to all the episodes.
Actually, everyone watching this right now has to go listen to every Teach Better Talk podcast episode and let us know.
Yes. What's Megan saying?
Megan just had a great point. She said, or we don't have time to use it hands-on and figure out how the PD can fit into what we already do. Yes. So like good PD, in my opinion, should never change the best practices that you're already doing. So Megan, I want you to like give yourself a gold star for tonight, because this is something I preach during live training all the time, is that when I'm sharing a best practice with you as a teacher, when I'm sharing any innovative practice, I am never expecting a teacher to go, oh, I have to throw everything I've ever done out and now I have to teach this way. I think sometimes teachers can feel that way, but something I'm constantly preaching is like, keep what works, keep what you know engages your students, find out how this training or this thing can fit into what you already have. Mm-hmm. And Megan had a great point of saying, if they don't have the time to wrestle with that, if they're not given the time while the expert is in front of them to wrestle with that notion of implementing it in their classroom, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to implement it poorly because they never get to ask the question, or they are never going to implement it. One of those two things will most likely happen. And that's a really important point from an administrative standpoint, right? So if you're bringing in PD for your staff, you want to make sure that it gets implemented. Otherwise, it's a waste of everyone's time. And if the time is not being provided and the opportunity, whether it's during the PD or after the PD, maybe at staff time or meeting time or whatever, if the time is not being provided to implement with proper support, which is something we also harp a ton on, with proper support, like the initiative or idea will fail. I would bet any money to anyone, anywhere, that I am 100% correct on this. I've experienced it myself. I've seen it happen myself. And like, I know that's what happens, which is why that's the opposite of how we usually run PD.
So let's go back. So just overall in the entire chat, was there anything that you can recall right now? Because I know there's a lot going on, but is there anything that like hit you and when you saw an answer that just struck you and you went, wow, I didn't think about that, or I didn't see that coming, or kind of shocked you at all? I know it's hard to pull back all the different things we saw. I'm trying to.
No, it's really interesting because like I almost felt like, how do I want to say this? I felt like I was hearing individual comments I've heard and from the countless number of trainings and presentations we've done, just sort of echoed. So I don't know if I heard anything specific that surprised me, but I think it was more of just like almost like a rallying cry of these pillars of what teachers want out of their PD. They want to feel like you hear them before they take this PD. They want to feel like you're thinking about them when you're planning this PD. They want to feel like, you know, and we all do, that like this is effective for me, this is effective for my classroom, this is something I can apply, this is personalized, individualized, and this is modeling some of the practice that it should, right? So like I think there were these echoing ideas, maybe that didn't surprise me, but that I was excited to kind of have those things confirmed. And I think that's really powerful for us and what we do. As we continue to reflect on our own PD and how we provide those things. So definitely really cool to see that for sure.
Awesome. Great. I want to give a shout out, and I'm hoping Amber's watching because I'm going to forget this, but I wanted to let everyone know, make sure everybody knew that we have a sale going on the courses right now for New Year's. So if you're thinking about getting one of the courses over at teachbetteracademy.com, it's 25% off. There's a code, and I can't remember what it is. So maybe Amber will help me out. I don't know. Otherwise, I will find it and post it underneath this video. I think it's like new course 18 or something like that. I can't remember. Or New Year 18 now.
I hope you realize you just caused us to get like 47 emails saying that the code that we told them isn't working. I just want you to know what you just did there without.
Well, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Wait.
Email straight to you that I get.
Wait for us to post it. I will post the code
on the live. You said the code was this, but it's not working. That's going to be our fault.
We'll find we get on it, but 25% off any course. So I want to get to what Megan just popped up there too.
Yeah,
I think it's also important to highlight what teachers are doing well and not bringing someone to chastise or give a feeling that teachers are. Yeah, it's really important to focus on, and that goes kind of hand on with the where you talked about, discussing like this isn't a throw out everything you're doing and do this instead. It's utilize this to enhance the already amazing things that you're doing in your classroom. I think that's really important for administrators and whoever has organized the PD to like Megan said, focus on what they are doing well and how the PD can enhance that, can supplement that, can be a part of that. I think is a really big,
absolutely.
Really big. Marissa says we give so much lip service to celebration, but we never seem to follow through.
Marissa, you're right. I agree with that. So I think there's like this piece where like maybe on your PD day you can't commit to that. But like one thing that like, you know, us going into schools and providing PD that we don't see is like the day-to-day interaction where it doesn't have to be lip service for a school. Like at every single school meeting or administrative meeting or whatever, like you could absolutely celebrate the positive things going on and start making those connections to best practices so that when those best practices come up, you can say, hey, you know, thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Did we hire him yet? Is that what happened? Did we hire him? Did that happen earlier when he got us trending? I think that's what it is. Thanks, Mark. So yeah, so Mark's supposed to use that code to get yourself 25% off over there. Sorry, Chad. Keep on with your idea here, your thought.
But I think that she's sorry, Marissa's absolutely correct in that like we have to celebrate what our teachers are doing. And I think Megan's correct in saying that like that has to be a part of when we do PD, whether it's before or after the PD. But like I think it's vitally important to before a PD happens, and we've talked to a couple of amazing administrators recently that did a really nice job of this. And I'm not going to call them out by name, but I've had a few phone conferences and staff meetings where the administrator said, hey, before you come in, will you have a phone call with my team of teachers, or will you have a phone call with them? And so that they feel good going into this. And there were these lead teachers that were already doing some of the positive things so that so that when that PD occurs in January coming up here, like those teachers are already on board and they're like, oh, I fully understand this and how it fits with what I'm already doing. That message has been clearly articulated from administration. So I realize that this isn't telling me to throw everything away. It's telling me to build on it. And I understand what I'm hearing much better now because of this context. So while that's not always possible, I think building and sending that message is always possible. So before a PD happens, as an administrator, you can very easily go, hey, this is what our PD is going to be on. These are some amazing examples of some of this going on in our building already. So-and-so does a great job with standards-based grading. Such and such does a great job like with their developing their learning targets. And so-and-so does a great job with stations and self-paced learning as we do, you know, whatever type of training is coming in. But building those things up and letting teachers know that you're doing a great job. We're all going in the same direction. This is all for the same purpose. Is absolutely vital, because she's absolutely right, Megan, when she says like, I don't want to feel chastised when I go to PD. Yeah. And there's a fine line between sharing best practices and demonizing other practices, right? Because most practices, even if they're not popular right now, if done correctly, can be very effective. So we have to be careful we're not having teachers change things that are already working. In that, as providers of PD, professional development, training, and new ideas, that we're kind of embracing the ideas that can fit and that are already happening into this new lexile of information and this new innovative practice, whatever we're talking about at the time. So that's a really great point, and I'm glad that Megan and Marissa both brought that up, because I think it's an awesome point.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate the comments. Thanks to everybody who was jumping in there on this. And obviously everyone was amazing over in the chat. We were trending the whole hour and beyond, which is awesome. A lot of great stuff. I'm going to jump back in there and answer a whole bunch of comments back and tweets and messages and stuff. So we're going to go do that. Make sure you utilize that code NEWCOURSE18 over at teachbetteracademy.com. Get 25% off any of the courses on there. And I mean, of course, I'm going to mention also that for $9 a month, you get everything we've got. It never goes up. Every time we have a new course, you get it. So that's a good thing too. We'll be back here next week for Mastery Chat again, the 1st of 2019, which is awesome.
Yeah. See you next year, everyone.
What's that?
See you next year, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you next year. I hope you have an amazing new year. Hopefully you're doing something fun or relaxing, recharging, whatever it is, ready to get back into the new year. And we will see you all next week on Mastery Chat. Thanks a lot.